Welcome to Lead with Clarity. This is a space for leaders who want to grow without losing themselves in the process. Each episode is a short reflection on leadership, influence, and the inner work that shapes how we show up for others. It's not hype, not noise, just clear thinking for the journey of leading well. Today's episode is entitled The Need They Never Said Out Loud. Here we go. Every leader thinks they understand their customer. Most understand what their customer said. Those are not the same thing. Nadella put it this way when he said, "Empathy makes you a better innovator. If I look at the most successful products created at Microsoft, it comes from the ability to meet the unmet, unarticulated needs of customers." Let's sit with that phrase for a second. Unmet, unarticulated needs. Not the request in the support ticket, not the feature on the roadmap vote. The need underneath all of that, the one the customer has stopped mentioning because they've quietly decided it's just how things are. Here's the leadership moment inside that quote. Nadella is not describing a marketing tactic. He's describing a discipline of attention, the kind of attention that notices what people work around instead of only what they complain about. That distinction separates leaders who ship things people politely use from leaders who ship things that people cannot imagine going back without. Think about the last time you personally solved a problem for yourself without ever reporting it to anyone. Maybe you built a workaround in a spreadsheet. Maybe you developed a habit that quietly compensated for a tool that didn't do quite what you needed. You didn't file a ticket. You didn't mention it in a meeting. You just adapted, because that's what capable people do. Your customers are doing the exact same thing right now with your product. The question is whether anyone in your organization is paying enough attention to notice. Now, here's where a lot of leaders misread this. They hear empathy and they file it under soft skills, something nice to have alongside the real work of strategy and execution. That is a mistake, and it's worth naming directly. Empathy, in Satya Nadella's sense, is not the opposite of rigor. It is a form of rigor. It's the discipline of staying with a problem long enough to understand it precisely, instead of reaching for the first solution that happens to fit what you already planned to build. Think about how most planning cycles actually work. Someone gathers feedback. The feedback gets summarized into themes. The themes get turned into a prioritized list. And somewhere in that process, the specific textured reality of what a customer is actually struggling with gets flattened into a bullet point that fits neatly into a slide. Nadella's insight is a warning against that flattening. The unmet need rarely survives the summary. You have to go find it directly. Here's the reframe worth carrying forward. The next time your team presents a list of customer requests, ask a different question. Don't just ask what they're asking for, ask what they're working around. Ask what they've stopped mentioning because they've given up expecting it to change. That second category is where the real opportunity lives, and it almost never shows up in a survey. There's also a common misread worth naming here. Some leaders hear this quote and assume it means talk to customers more. Talking to customers is necessary, but it's not sufficient. Customers are often poor narrators of their own experience. They can tell you what annoys them. They struggle to tell you what would genuinely change their work because they have not yet imagined it. That's not a failure on their part. It's simply not their job. It's yours. Nadella's insight only works if you treat what customers say as a starting point for investigation, not a finished brief. This matters even more now, in a moment where so many leaders are integrating AI into how they build. AI tools can generate features, write code, and produce prototypes at a speed that no team could match a few years ago. That's genuinely useful. But notice what those tools cannot do. They cannot sit inside a customer's frustration and notice the need that that customer has not put into words yet. They cannot walk the factory floor, sit in on a support call, or watch someone quietly build a workaround because they assumed that nobody would fix the real problem. That noticing is still and will remain a human act of judgment. The tools are getting faster at execution. They are not getting better at empathy. That gap is where leadership still lives. So here's the carry forward thought. Innovation does not start with a better idea. It starts with a more honest look at what people are actually dealing with. The leaders who build things people genuinely need are rarely the ones with the most data sitting in front of them. They're the ones who paid closer attention than everyone else in the room, and who trusted that attention enough to act on what it showed them. That is the work. Not more surveys, not more dashboards, just the discipline of noticing what everyone else has learned to walk past.